Thank you. You may find there are a lot of cats around the room now outside. We may have attracted a lot of cats after that.
When did you find your voice?
Oh, I've been looking for it since 9 o'clock this morning. I don't know. When I was young, I was in the choir at school, and they always made me a soprano for some reason. And I loved singing. And when I was in the first band I was in, which was the Dusty Coconuts, I can't remember how old I was, maybe 13, 14. No one else wanted to sing, so I said, okay, I'll sing. And, we used to do songs like As Tears Go By and stuff like that. And it's always been a pleasure for me. It's always the toughest part of my gig is to sing. But it's always the most rewarding in some ways.
And why don't you sing? I notice when you play guitar, you don't mouth the words or anything. I mean, you are part of this instrument when you're playing. And
only when I do radio shows. Normally I sing along. But it sounds like this while I'm doing that. I like singing too, but I'm just not allowed to.
That's not true. You're getting better.
Yes. Figure another 30 years and I'll have it.
But he speaks really well.
When you do. You actually, I heard you kind of do that real low thing here, that spoken word thing you were doing
That's
earlier.
for our radio station that Getty and I are working on.
And what are you going to call it?
What was it called again? Idiots Off the Air?
IOA. You're listening to IOA Radio. Yeah, that's pretty good.
During the time that Neil was healing, you guys both had some solo projects, which are quite well received from out there. You worked on Andromeda, the soundtrack. How was it doing a soundtrack?
They had it for 2 seasons, and then the production changed, and they actually brought in a whole different production company. They changed the music, and they've changed a lot of things about the show. But that certainly was a lot of fun for me to do. I'd never done anything like that before. And because the show was in early production at the time, I got a sheet of paper that said, soundtrack like 10,000 guitars. And that was it. Those were the instructions. And then they told me that, it's 50 seconds that you're looking for, and these are the characters, and these are the points. And that was it. So I really had nothing to work to, no picture, nothing. And just kind of developed something and sent it out to them, and they were quite pleased with it, and I sort of, wiped my brow, and that was that.
Nothing I've seen here in the States, but what was the TV show that you were in up there? In Canada?
Trailer Park Boys.
Oh, Trailer Park Boys. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Trailer Park Boys. Yeah, it's a Canadian production. It's done out in the East Coast in Nova Scotia. It's been running for 4 seasons now, and it's about life in a trailer park and these few characters and all the crazy things that they get into and happen to them. And it's done like a mockumentary, but it's very, very low, super low budget. But it is really, really funny, very clever. These guys are really smart. It's available here in America on BBC America. They just signed a distribution deal, and I know that they're showing the first couple of seasons. But I would highly recommend it. It's a very, very funny show.
And you did Headache.
Headache.
You have a headache? My favorite Headache, which you hooked up with a couple of other players to do. And was there something going on at this time that you just thought this Rush thing is never going to get back together again?
Not really, because I had planned to start writing with my good friend Ben Mink before any of the terrible things started happening. We had scheduled for that fall of 97 to start writing together. And so this was something that we've been talking about for, 20 years. Like, we'd like to just write together. So he came up to Toronto, and unfortunately it was a rather sad time because it was the aftermath of all these events. And then I thought, well, I was going to cancel it, and I thought, it's good for me to do some work. And so it was very low-key, and we started just playing some music together, and before we knew it, we had written 3 songs. And then we decided, okay, over the next year or so, we'll just keep going back and forth to each other's studios. He lives in Vancouver. And we would just start gathering material. And before we knew it, the thing had taken on a life of its own, and we decided that we would bring some other musicians in. And Matt Cameron from Soundgarden and now in Pearl Jam showed some interest to play with us. And I thought that was a great opportunity to play with another great drummer. And before we knew it, we had made an album. So it turned out to be a very therapeutic thing for me, very liberating thing for me, because I got to spend time working on lyrics for the first time in a long time in a serious way. And I got to play with really some wonderful people. And I spent 2 great weeks in Seattle recording Matt and meeting a lot of great folks. And it was just a great experience for me.
That was well accepted. You did well with that album.
Thank you. Yeah, people seem to like it.
Let's go back to this audience full of Rush fans here who have a few questions. Brent Rose came all the way from Omaha, Nebraska. This is an interesting question. This was something I was thinking about asking, and I see he actually put it in a better phrase than I did.
Actually, first off, I want to thank you for the musical ride you've taken us for the last 30 years, and I can't wait to see what you guys will do in the future. But basically, a lot of your music would do very well with a symphony or an orchestra in the background. Have you guys ever thought of doing a concert with the backing orchestra and putting it down on tape?
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot, actually. Years ago, we thought about doing that, and then everybody started doing it. So we said, well, maybe we shouldn't do it right now. But at some point in the future, I would like to do that. I think a lot of our music really suits it.
Would that be a whole different scheme of playing and arranging and...
Oh, yeah, that'd be great fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if we were going to do something like that, it would have to be just very limited dates, like pick a handful of cities or something like that and just, rehearse a orchestral show and do it like that. But I think it would be fun.
I think you have to wear a tuxedo, too.
Do you have a really favorite place to play? I mean, you play all over the world now, so is there a place that a hall or a venue that really has great response to you sonically, or just a place you really love to play?
There's a bunch of them. I love playing Madison Square Garden. There's a vibe in that room. It's so intense. And they feel really like right on top of you. So it's great. You get such strong feedback from them. But there's a lot of great buildings. We played Red Rocks recently in Denver, and wow, was that ever a gorgeous place to play. And of course, when we went to South America, that was an incredible experience. Those audiences are just unbelievable. I've never seen an audience before that sang our instrumentals with us. They wrote their own parts. I mean, how did they do that? They got together and, it was...
The Russian Rio DVD is really, the audience is really amazing in this. Were you prepared for what was going to happen here when you went down there? And popped
No idea.
Not at all. We're pretty much idiots. We didn't really... We keep our head in the sand a lot. We didn't really realize we had so many fans there and that they were so knowledgeable of our music. And it's rather embarrassing to admit that, actually. But